With construction complete, the project transitions seamlessly into the operations and maintenance O&M phase. This pivotal shift marks the beginning of a new chapter, ensuring the sustained functionality and benefits of our constructed infrastructure. Routine operations and maintenance activities are essential for preserving the longevity and functionality of the constructed project. Our ongoing commitment to regular upkeep guarantees the continued success of our endeavors. And I'm here with Chief of Operations Division, Mr. Chris Forbata.
Thanks for having me.
So the pivotal mark has begun a new chapter. How do we transition over to operations?
So when you're talking about handing over a project from construction to O&M, we're really here in Galveston only focusing in on many navigation projects and a few FRM or flood risk management projects. So kind of digging into navigation for a moment is we coordinate not just with our project management office, but also a lot of outside sponsors and stakeholders. So of course our non-federal sponsor for the project, the U.S. Coast Guard, and NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. So all of those agencies have a role in transitioning from the construction of the project to the operations and management. And specifically, the key things that we do for the transition is we'll do underwater surveys or hydrographic surveys, and we'll take those surveys at very close frequency or close granularity on the soundings, and we achieve that through multi-beam surveys. So we'll review those multi-beam surveys immediately after the new work dredging to ensure that the new work material is removed from the O&M template. So in other words, we'll ensure in the future that when we're doing maintenance dredging, that our contractors are never going to be required to remove new work material. So that's kind of the first thing that we do. So we'll accept that acceptance section as clear of new work material. Then the next thing we look at is usable segments. So the first thing we'll do is make sure that the acceptance section is void of new work material. The second thing we'll do is identify a usable segment. And the third thing we'll do is we'll do a clean sweep of the channel to get it cleared out in one shot to where it's usable at that day. And then at that point, there's a couple other administrative things that we need to do. The users of the channel don't get the channel alignment directly from us. We'll give them to NOAA. NOAA will consume our data and then put it into print or digital print with the new width and depths. And then at that point, and then could be large, could be small, depending on the channel improvements, is we coordinate with the Coast Guard, because it's the Coast Guard's responsibility for marking the channel. So the aids to navigation, or ATONs, are the Coast Guard's responsibility. So we'll deepen the channel, the Coast Guard will mark the channel with the ATONs, and NOAA will communicate the channel dimensions to the project users. So that's kind of how we hand the project over from construction phase to the O&M phase. And then from then on, it's up to my shop to budget for the O&M that's needed and to get the money that Congress and the President appropriates, and then spend that money on the project as best as we can to maintain the project, to provide safe, reliable navigation. Yep.
USACE continues to play a vital role in the operations and maintenance phase, overseeing key aspects to uphold the infrastructure's integrity and functionality. What is the specific role of USACE during the operations and maintenance phase?
So we're dredging about 25 to 35 million cubic yards a year of O&M material. And what funding does that translate to? In order to do that, we need to be appropriated somewhere around 150 to 250 million dollars a year, and that's typically what our budget is from year to year. Say from 2015 till now. That's about what our budget's been, and those, just like all Corps of Engineers projects, we are project funded. So when you see the O&M budget get approved, it will say all of our navigation projects listed out in alphabetical order: Brownsville, Brazos Island Harbor, Cedar Bayou, Freeport Harbor, Houston Ship Channel, and you'll see a dollar amount that was appropriated for each of those federal projects. Now, each of those federal projects have an operations project manager assigned to the project, and he or she is responsible for managing those funds. In the Corps of Engineers, we follow the PMBP process, the Project Management Business process, to where the operations managers here in this district for the O&M funding are considered the responsible employee. So they're not doing the work, they're managing the funds and ensuring that the folks around the building, different other functional offices within the building, are getting the work done. So that's their role, that's the operations manager's role, to manage the funds. Now it doesn't just start with getting the funds. They have to budget for their project. They have to have, five-year planning meetings with the non-federal sponsors and the stakeholders and the pilots associations, and we'll sit down and lay out what our 5-year plan is. So this year and then the 4 years out. And what we're doing is we're submitting the budget for 2 years out. So currently we're operating in FY24. In January of 24, we'll be submitting the FY26 budget. So we'll submit our budget packages in, and really the level of O&M that we do is dependent upon how much funding comes into each project. So to say that we're keeping the water infrastructure, completely void of draft restrictions, that's not the case. We are maintaining the channels to the level that Congress appropriates funds. And in some cases, we're able to go a whole year without draft restriction, depending on the amount of money that comes in. In other years where funding might be a little light, then the channel may end up being restricted at times.
How does the organization ensure that the infrastructure remains in optimal condition and continues to serve its intended purpose over the long term?
Mm-hmm. Well, I answered a little bit of it with we don't always get, the full ask or our full capability of funding that we get, but we always, do the best we can with the funding we get. Outside of funding, the number one things that we can do to ensure reliability of these navigation channels is through partnerships. So partnerships with the U.S. Coast Guard, with NOAA, with our navigation stakeholders, our 7 pilots associations, and non-federal sponsors. Yep.
As we conclude our exploration of the construction and operations and maintenance phase, we've witnessed the transformation of plans into tangible results. Stay tuned for more insights into the ongoing commitment of USACE Galveston District in shaping resilient and sustainable communities.